Oh, hi there, and welcome to Chris Tronbot. Today we are discussing how the Steam Deck changed how I play games. After using the Steam Deck for about 6 months, I can tell you right now, Valve Corporation is onto something here. This is truly a revolution in personal computing and handheld gaming, all in one device. I mean, did you hear that soldiers in Ukraine are actually using Steam Decks to control drones and military equipment? That is not a joke. Look it up. This thing is a freaking computer, and it's a powerful one at that. Using an AMD Zen 2 processor, this thing crushes just general computing tasks that you thought only a PC or laptop could handle. This thing is not only powerful, it's also efficient, using its nicely designed fan at the top and rear vent at the bottom. This thing is cool and quiet, where it matters most, your hands. The Steam Deck is also a very, very capable gaming machine. Playing games on my handheld like Red Dead Redemption 2, Dead by Daylight, and Spider-Man Miles Morales as seen by my home screen here. And not only is this device extremely powerful, it is heavily supported by developers and the Linux-based community. Now let's discuss that too. The Steam Deck is not only a personal computer, the Steam Deck is quite possibly the best Linux-based device you can get for the money right now. No cap. Now you may be wondering, as a console gamer, what does it mean to be a Linux-based machine rather than a Windows one in a handheld computer like this? Well, there actually are quite some differences. Number one, any game that supports anti-cheat is not playable unless the developer allows it to be. So that means no Call of Duty on your handheld, that means no Rocket League, no Fortnite, or anything really Epic Games related. But also, it means not a lot of multiplayer games are supported by this device. So that means a lot of your multiplayer games aren't going to be capable of being played on this handheld. The other thing you should be wary of is emulation. A lot of people buy Steam Decks to emulate, but because it's not a Windows-based machine, the file formats of certain ROMs and certain executables aren't able to be played out of the box on a Steam Deck. You have to basically format it for Linux. That's not always true in every instance, but in a lot of them, especially Switch ROMs or GameCube ROMs with Dolphin, you're going to have some issues there. And it's not always immediately understandable what that issue is unless you go into a frickin' command line, and who the fuck wants to do that out of the box on their new frickin' handheld? I don't want to do that. I'm a boomer. I'm a 21-year-old boomer, guys. Come on. But here's the thing. Enough about the tech details and the fucking nerd shit. Let's talk about what makes the Steam Deck awesome, and that is how it's changed how I play games. Yes, it has changed everything for me in my gaming life. Now, if you know me personally, you know that I'm a notorious lunch break gamer at my place of work. Now, here's the thing. I would usually bring out my Switch in the past and play some Tony Hawk Pro Skater and get some Pop Shove-Its in during my lunch break. But no, not anymore. Now I'm playing fucking Red Dead Redemption on my lunch breaks. Well, that's insane! A game I used to only be able to play at home on my Xbox One X or my PS5 or whatever the hell I'm playing on. I can now play on a freaking handheld. That is insane. And it changes how I play games because I prefer handhelds. I'm a handheld boy. I'm a Game Boy, some say.
Only from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power. Portable power.
One of the things I love about the Steam Deck is how it is actually opening up Linux gaming to the rest of the community. For the past little while, people have been talking about how Linux is a better operating system for gaming than Windows is or Microsoft's own platforms do. And I actually kind of agree with that now after using a Steam Deck, but only because the Steam Deck exists. And let me explain why. Before the Steam Deck came out, Linux gaming was somewhat of a twinkle in the eye of the community. I mean, it was usable, it was playable, but a lot of games like anti-cheat supported software and a lot of games that just don't work natively out of the box for Linux games weren't viable on a platform like this. But now that the Steam Deck exists, it has opened up developers' eyes to the possibilities of Linux-based gaming for everybody. In fact, as of making this video, Dead by Daylight, an anti-cheat supported game, and a big one I wanted to play on this device that wasn't natively supported from the beginning, is now playable on this thing. Can you believe that? So developers are starting to see that anti-cheat games aren't scary for Linux gamers. And you may be wondering, why is anti-cheat not supported on Linux? Well, there's actually a very interesting reason why. From the little I know on this subject, Linux-based gaming has been seen by developers as unsafe or even just not necessary for their development pipeline, if you will. Because it's a very, what's the word to use? Eccentric ecosystem with a lot of moving parts and a lot of people on different operating system versions of base Linux, such as Arch, Ubuntu. You get the point. I'm not a big Linux guy. I'm just saying this because I know a little. I can Linux a little bit, but not a lot. And a lot of the reason people like Linux is that it's very customizable, similar to, like, I guess the best way to compare it to someone who doesn't use Linux is Android compared to iOS, where essentially there's a lot more moving parts, you can change a lot of things, you can tailor the experience to what you like and your more nerdy lifestyle, if you will. That's why I like Android compared to iOS, and that's why a lot of people like Linux compared to Windows or even Mac OS. And the thing about Linux is, since there's a lot of moving parts, developers can't easily optimize these things for standard experiences like multiplayer games, anti-cheat solutions like I was just mentioning a second ago, and overall support given these different operating systems, devices, and there's a lot of variables in between. For a lot of years, that was just the standard. You couldn't play a lot of games on Linux. But because this frickin' device exists, it is now shown that you can put these games on Linux and it's not scary. The truth of the matter is, the reason a lot of developers have not put things on Linux and haven't put the development time to do it is because there wasn't enough people using it. There wasn't the install base. There was a lot of people wanting it, but there wasn't enough people actually using it, if you will. And that's important because developers aren't looking for what people want. They're looking for what people will actually use and pay for. If they're not paying for the thing, they're not going to support it. That's the bottom line. So, now that there's a device with an actual million people, there's 1 million people who are using Linux now that never did before, most likely. And now, you're starting to see Linux supporting more games because of this dinky little handheld that has changed how people like me play games. The Steam Deck is not only a revolution in gaming, it has changed how Linux is perceived to many. And it's changed how I've seen gaming as a whole. You can play a AAA game in a $400 handheld now. Can you believe that? This thing is just genuinely a game changer in tech. 6 months after using it, I've owned this thing for about 6 months now, and I can tell you wholeheartedly, if you are a tinkerer, if you're a person who loves just getting down and dirty with your console and your hardware and your PC, this is the thing to buy. It is absolutely a game changer in how we use and play and interact with technology. Thank you all for watching, and gamers, rise up.